Hey there. Just getting this set up to stream. And let me just make sure that's streaming. I'll know in a second. Yep. Okay. Looks like it's streaming. Okay. Fantastic. Hi there. I want to talk today. The theme that I want to talk on is your value is what you tolerate. Not based on your degrees or your experience or your profession or anything like that. Your value is really what you're willing to is what you determine your value to be. And I want to talk specifically about what you determine your value to be as what you put up with in order to make a living, right? So I am speaking specifically to physicians and dentists, many of whom are highly, highly dissatisfied with their jobs. They may love the practice of medicine. They may love the philosophy behind what they do. They may love working one-on-one with patients. But when it really boils down to it, that oftentimes, the way medicine is practiced now, boils down to less than 50% of their time. And the rest of their time is spent in doing things that are miserable, fighting bureaucracy, miserable paperwork, potentially not being paid on par with other people who are doing the same job, et cetera, for a whole variety of reasons. Doctors, dentists, and to some extent veterinarians are miserable in their work in a way that other highly trained, incredibly intelligent, qualified people in other professions are not dissatisfied. There's something wrong with the medical profession. But I'm a member of several Facebook groups for physicians, and every day practically, I read a post of something along the lines of, I'm being offered this salary, which doesn't seem like enough, but I feel like I have to take it. Or our compensation is being changed, but I feel like I have to take it. Or people who say, I'll talk with people who say, I'd like to make a change in what I do, but I'm afraid because I might not make enough money. So it's incredibly important to recognize right now that if you are making money at a job you dislike, you are paying for your misery, right? You're paying for your livelihood in your misery, right? It's not just the employer paying you, it's you paying you from your source of happiness, right? It's depleting that bank as well. And it's really important to look at that you may have a physical bank account that takes in your money that gets deposited regularly, but you also have an internal happiness bank account and you are drawing down against that. So that's, your one bank account may be going up, the other is going down, and the other is going down and down and down. And satisfaction rises, engagement in your work rises. You become more bitter, more burned out. I hate that term, but I'll use it anyway. And there is a way, and you feel like you're trapped in a cycle to go after money to support a lifestyle. And there's nothing wrong with needing money for your lifestyle. Don't get this wrong. It's just very, very important to be very clear about what it is you are giving up in order to get that money. Excuse me. So what I want to do is walk you through a little exercise. You might call it an opportunity cost calculator, or the cost of your what are you drawing down from your happiness bank, something like that. What is the cost of staying uncomfortable, dissatisfied? What is the cost to you in dollars? Okay. What are you paying to be miserable, more or less? Or what are you, how much are you trading for your happiness? That's a nice way of putting it, right? Like how much is your happiness worth? Okay. So you might want to get a piece of paper out for a moment and I can talk you through this exercise. So first thing is for this first calculation here, I would like you to name the first number that comes to mind. And that number should come very fast. It should come in about 10 seconds. Don't question that number. Don't give yourself a reason to adjust the number. Go with the first number that comes through because that's going to be the truest one for you. Okay. So the first number and this is the one to do quickly, is to write down on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is I am completely satisfied with my job. I am happy as I can be. And 10 is I'm completely dissatisfied in my professional life and I wish I could walk out the door right now. So choose that number real fast. Boom. Whatever number it is, just write it down. Don't try to second guess it. Just write that number down. Okay. So that is the percentage, just roughly speaking, of happiness that of misery that you are tolerating in your job. So if you wrote on a scale of 1 to 6, maybe I should have made this 0 to 10. Maybe 0 is I'm completely happy and 10 is, well, go back. If you were a 1, make yourself a 0. That is the degree of misery that you are tolerating, right? That's the degree of misery that you've got. That's your misery index. So if you wrote a 6 there, you are now, step 2 is to grab your most recent paycheck if you want to. And if not, you can grab your taxes, you can grab something else and calculate out your salary. And don't forget to add in any benefits like dental, health, disability insurance that might be included. Add in the cost of your malpractice insurance if it's being paid by the group, if you know what that number is. Add in any 401k contributions or anything like that. Just come up with a number and you can have it for a week, you can have it for a year. It doesn't matter what it is, just know what it is. Okay. So you're going to multiply. You're going to turn your first number into a percentage. So if it was 6, it was 60%. I am miserable. I'm 60% miserable in my work, right? And you're going to multiply it by your weekly, monthly, annual salary, whatever you want it to be. Okay. Next question is, how long have you felt that miserable? How long have you had been dissatisfied? How long has that been? Has it been just for the last week? That's okay. But if it's been longer, what if it's been a year and you calculated weekly or every 2 weeks? Weekly, you'd multiply that number times 52. Monthly, you'd multiply that number times 12, whatever it is. If you've felt dissatisfied professionally in one way or another and tried to change things and it hasn't worked and you feel like you're moving around on some sort of like revolving door of BS that you're tolerating and you're not getting where you want and you're just biding the time till retirement and wondering when that scale is going to tip, but you have years left to go. Calculate out how long it is, right? So you've got your percentage of time percentage of dissatisfaction. I use 6 as a number, 60%. You have your salary for whatever length of time it is, and then you multiply it times the number of times. So if you have, let's just say, for instance, you have 60% misery and you make $300,000 a year just off the top of your head. Well, that comes out to be something like, or let's say you had 66%, $200,000 a year of your misery cost, and you felt miserable for 7 years. Well, that is $1.4 million. That's the cost of your happiness right there. That's your number. That's your number. That's your value. That's how do I want to put this? That is kind of a really concrete way to look at how much of your own happiness you are willing to sacrifice, right? It's really concrete. And it's funny because I often talk to people who say, well, I'd love to make a change, but I'm afraid, I'd love to start a business, or I'd love to, take 6 months off, or I'd love to do this or that would be a change that would shake up the system and bring more satisfaction. And then they'll balk over cost of a course, cost of a weekend, cost of a retreat that might be a fraction of that potentially millions of dollars that you've already invested in your misery, and people will balk about investing or doing something that makes them happy, right? So run this little calculation for yourself. See what you think. See what your number is. It's not necessarily a pretty number. I know my number was massively high. I mean, like 1.5 million. Easy. If I were going to add it up, I mean, at one point, like bordering on a fortune, that I had spent on, that I had put towards maintaining my misery to hang on to what I thought I needed to live. You don't need that. Don't need that. So your value is shown exactly in what you tolerate, and how much you're paying toward and tolerating that is unacceptable is deducted from your actual value that you're seeing. Absolutely. So I'd love to hear your comments. Put some comments below.